Good morning, everyone. Hey, I want to take some time to welcome you all here today. I want to thank you all for bringing yourselves up to the front row for the last few weeks. We've had a lot of front rowers right here, so I want to thank you for being right up here on me and all that good stuff. You're always up in the front row, whether you're here on time or late. A lot of times it depends on your mom. I don't know, but you're always right here. But I want to thank you all for taking some time to join us on this Sunday morning. Today not only is a special day in the life of the church, it's also a special day in the life of the music world. Does anyone know what today marks? The birthday of someone. Who is it? Anybody remember his name? Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley's birthday today, born in 1935. That would have made Elvis how old today? Anybody know that? 88 years old, all right? Do you think he could still swing around a little bit, or would Elvis have come out on stage with his walker? You know how he walked out and then did the backward walk too, always like that? He'd have to come out and then get the walker turned and then go back like that too. It's a Sunday in which we are here to enjoy ourselves, to have a good time, and to learn and to grow together. It's not important about Elvis. It's not important about his life. That's not why we're here. But it's important that we're here together and that we continue to engage in ministry and have fun together. I'm going to take some time to share with you some stories during our prayer concerns. So I hope you don't mind bearing with me, because I think sometimes the stories that come as the result of a journey of a week can mean more sometimes than even the sermon itself. And some of the people that I'll share prayer concerns about, and some of them you don't. Those that are recovering from either being in the hospital or being ill or are currently hospitalized. Dan Carter, who about 2.5 months ago was in a bicycling accident. His health has changed quite a bit. He remains in a coma. He's alive, but it's still pretty challenging for him, and also challenging for his family to try to move him to facilities that are offering care that is the best for him. It's been a huge challenge and a huge journey. Reverend Sherry continues to recover from his recent hospitalization, as well as Hilda Donner, who I know is watching us from her home today. So we welcome you, Hilda, and are glad that you can be here with us in that fashion. Connie Eldridge. And then also, I've been in so much trouble with the Donners and the McCutcheons for mentioning things that it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. The Donners will tell me, well, you mentioned Hilda's name in church. She is going to be mad at you for saying she needed prayers. Well, okay, we'll make up. And hopefully Connie will also forgive me for mentioning her today as well. She had her knee replaced this week. And Keith texted me and let me know everything was going well. And he had said to me, I can't confirm nor deny that Connie had knee surgery, and please don't confirm or deny that I messaged you and let you know. But he also couldn't confirm or deny that he is probably the greatest nurse in the Evansville tri-state area. So she's recovering at home. Yes? Whose? Keith and Connie's? Oh, really? I wasn't aware of their wedding anniversary. That's awesome. I want to mention Edward Kiefer, Stephanie Reineke's grandfather, who's very, very, very ill and in hospice care. I wanted to make mention of him today. I want to make mention of Peggy Marinholtz's father, who passed away. Services for him are pending. I don't know when those will take place yet, but he died yesterday. I want to also remember Gary Hudson, who I was asked to officiate a funeral for on Tuesday. To Portia, his wife, and all of his family, we continue to offer you our support. And then also the flowers that you see here, and some of the flowers that you see right here, are in memory of Mike Duncan, whose funeral took place here on our church grounds on Thursday. As we all know, life brings with it incredible moments, and it brings with it challenging moments. We come here as people not afraid of either, and understand that we can work through those things together, and so we try to do that each and every week. Kathy said she was going to try to be here today. I understand that things come up and it's going to be tough for her to do that, but offering you our prayers and your entire family. If they're watching, we certainly offer you all kinds of support, but if they're not, please take that support back to your home with them. It was a powerful moment in Mike's living room with all of you there on Tuesday morning, and it's an honor to be able to journey with you through this, and you allow me the chance to do that. I want to also mention Brad Becker's mother, Marcy, who had a heart attack just the other day and ended up with a quadruple bypass surgery. And she is at Deaconess Gateway recovering and doing as well as somebody can do following quadruple bypass surgery. Thankfully, she was able to get to the hospital. Thankfully, people were there with her. To Brad and his entire family and all their children, we offer our prayers. And then lastly, I want to share a story and a prayer concern that I was asked to share this morning on behalf of Brian Crace. Some of you know Brian as the financial secretary on our church council. You see him around church. He does all the money counting and all those types of things. Brian messaged me last night. He was with his sister, and his sister's been very ill with cancer. She's in hospice care, and things had really taken a turn in a different direction over the last few weeks. They got her back home. They got her to her home where she wanted to be. She is under hospice care, which is always going to keep her comfortable and anybody else that's under their care comfortable. And he is currently, he sent me a photo about just 10 minutes ago. I don't know if you got us on your phone right now, but he's up in your territory. He's up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, to attend the Green Bay Packer Detroit Lions game this evening. And he was texting me. This is where I think the power of church and the stories we tell sometimes make a difference, and we don't even know it does. He said, I struggled with, should I go? I struggled with, is this the right thing to do? I struggled with, it's just a football game, right? And I even still struggled with it when my sister said, I want you to go. I'm home now. I'm where I want to be. I'm going to be comfortable. Everything's going to be as good as it can be. There isn't anything that we can do to change this circumstance now. I want you to go. And I want you to continue to live your life. And he said, I had a chance to process that. I left her house. We started driving north to Wisconsin. And I talked to my wife, Chana, and she helped me with that. And then he said, I remembered a story that we told in church that the last time you were with your mother, and she said, I don't want you to come back. This is our goodbye. Go. You're going to have to live your life. That's a tough message, but I think it's an important one. That regardless of where we might be and regardless of what we might be doing in our lives, regardless of how awesome it might feel in one moment, it might not feel as awesome in the next. However, next moments will come and next moments will be present. And we're called to journey into that together. Sometimes we want to do it alone. I get that. And sometimes we have people along with us that really help us dig into that. Last week, we chose words as we left the sanctuary, and I've been pleased to hear from a lot of you to see what words chose you and how those words have been processed in your life. Some of you told me stories this morning. Some of you told me stories about those star words from last week. My word was journey, and And I wondered what that word meant, and I wondered what it might mean for me. JJ had said to me after Mike's funeral, we were talking about star words, and he said, "What was your word?" And I said, my word was journey. And he said, "Well, it better not mean you're leaving." And I said, "Not till at least after Easter." But I think that word this week for me makes a lot of sense as I reflect upon it. Because I know I can't, I haven't been able to do it my entire life, be able to journey through moments like we all lived through together this week. Some of you were present, some of you weren't. It's hard to do things alone. And it's hard to do things by yourself. And so as we move into this worship service, whether you're here today as a first-time guest, whether you're here today as a sometimes guest, whether you are here today as a friend of the congregation, whether you are here as a longtime member, whether you are here joining us from your homes, we work really hard at doing the best we can to make you feel like you belong. And I hope you feel like you belong today. And I hope you feel like you belong tomorrow. And I hope you feel like you belong next week and next month and next year. Because there'll be moments that we're going to celebrate, and there'll be moments that we are going to work together through. But the bottom line is we're going to do it together. If you'd like to join us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, this class continues to grow and grow. Some people come and just walk prior, but we'd love to have you on those for those opportunities. I mentioned this last week. I'll mention a little bit more in depth this week. Those support groups meet this week. So we will be meeting Monday evening at 7 o'clock, and we'll be meeting again on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock if you'd like to join us. Following worship today, a lot of this stuff is coming down. The tree's got to be taken down. These Advent candles got to be taken down. This stand's got to be taken down. All these poinsettias, if you had a poinsettia and you would like it, we'd like for you to take them. Any of them that are remaining, I want you to just be open and honest about it. They get thrown in the dumpster. So if there are some of them that are left and you didn't purchase one, I would rather have someone take one home and to have one than have it just be thrown away if it's something that you think you could use. Next Saturday, I would encourage all of our youth. I would encourage some of our confirmands, which I will also in confirmation class encourage your participation in this activity, which is a really short commitment, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. The address is on the sign-up sheet in the foyer. This organization builds bed frames for children in our community and places them into homes for people that wouldn't otherwise have beds and are either sleeping on the floor, sleeping on a mattress, sleeping on just some covers or something like that. There are probably about 20 people, I think, approximately signed up on our sheet. They can take up to 60 volunteers. We're not going to be the only group there. There's going to be other groups volunteering on that day. But this is the first time we're participating with this organization. If it goes well, I would anticipate wanting to do this maybe every other month or something like that, and taking groups to help build bed frames. Ages, all ages are welcome. However, if you are under the age of 12, they just don't let you use power tools, but there's other things for you to be able to do. So grandparents, parents, bring your children if it's something that you think you can do. But if it goes really well, we're going to be doing this again. I want to make one more announcement before we get into that. And that is this benefit for Mr. Mike Stoltz. I placed this online, and it is something that we would like for you to participate if you can. On Friday, January 13th at 5 p.m. at St. Philip's Catholic Church, they're doing a drive-through chicken dinner. Mike had an accident, and he's in really bad shape following that accident. This benefit will help with some of those medical bills and things like that. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, gravy, green beans, and all that kind of stuff, $12 is is what they'd ask for the dinner, or you can leave other donations if you wanted to. This is posted online. If you haven't seen it, please share it. If you'd like to get a shot of this on your phone, or if you want to take this, have me make copies for you, I'm more than welcome to do that. Let's see if we can get out and support Mike and his continued recovery, and hope that, the best for he and his family. So with that being said, Carol Jo is probably ready and has been ready for a bit. She's going to lead us in our prelude, and then we will get into the rest of our worship service today. Carol Jo. There's a nice little tickle there at the end. I like it. Good job. Good job. Let's stand if you'd like and join with me in a prayer, and then we'll try to sing a few hymns this morning. Together we offer these words in prayer. God of life and new life, you are loving and strong. Your voice thunders above the sound of loud waters. You sit enthroned above the floods of life. As Jesus heard you speak to him in his baptism, may we also hear you calling us your beloved. Through Jesus Christ, your Son and our brother. Amen. Let's sing. I'd like to invite children to come forward and the rest of you to be seated. While they're coming forward, I want to read some things to you. Sometimes I get messages from people who are watching. I thought this one was kind of funny. Stephanie Reinecke, when I mentioned prayer concerns for their family, said her son Henry said, "Mommy, Pastor Jeff said your name. That means you're in trouble." And then, did Eliza come up here? Yeah. Justin texted me a video of Eliza, who's over here behind the candles right now. She said, "Eliza said Carol Joe is on point today. Lots of baby dancing going on." And there's a little video included there. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Thank you all for your messages, and thank you all for coming up here and being up here. While the rest of the children make their way up here, this gentleman right here, I wanted to give a big thank you to, and to the congregation. If anybody comes right, there's some real estate that opened up here in the balcony. Joe, I'm sure DeMont, you were a part of it as well. I'm not sure. I'm likely you're involved in some way usually. They built some cabinets which dropped our soundboard and dropped our monitors. Everything is down and it's a lot more clean, and it allows people to sit in the balcony and still see over everything. As well as Kyle and Greg and Jonathan, who spent a lot of hours this week putting it all back into order. So thank you all for making that happen and doing that all behind the scenes. It's not something anybody's really going to notice, but it's there and it's nicely done. Oh my goodness, look at all of you up here today. Can you tell me something? Can you tell me what's the best thing that's happened to you today so far? If there's one good thing that's happened to you today so far, what was it? What is it? You had a friend over last night? Excellent. Best thing that happened to you today? You ate a donut. You just ate one donut? You ate two. All right. Okay. Were they real donuts or are they donut holes? Real donuts, like Long John's or just a round one? Just the round one. Okay. How many do you think you could put away if you had all the donuts you wanted in front of you before you said that's enough? How many would you like to put down? A dozen. That's right. I like it. I like it. I like it. Yes, ma'am. Having what in sausage? Pancakes and sausage started it off right. Did somebody have a hand up over here? Best thing that's happened to you this morning? Yes, ma'am. Coming here this morning. All right, look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our round, our number one winner for today. You don't have to come to church now till Easter. You got a free pass. You're good to go. You're good to go. Yes, ma'am. Coming here too? All right, you want to get out of church too, don't you? Yeah. Great things can happen every single morning. Sometimes we just got to look for them. One of the best things that happened to me this morning was I have a little dog that lives in the house with me. His name's Teddy, and Teddy likes to sleep with me at night. And every morning about 4:30 or 5 o'clock, Teddy comes out from under the covers because he sleeps under the covers. And what he'll do is he'll lay right here on my chest. And what do you think he does when he lays on my chest? He gives me a kiss, right? He gives me a lick. And then what he usually does, he goes back under the covers and goes back to sleep. It's just like a good morning thing. There are all kinds of great things that happen to us, and they're all right there. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it, though, does it? You might get up tomorrow morning and just take those donuts for advantage. You'd be like, oh, gosh. You might take the eggs and sausage for granted. But those are some things that people have done for you because they love you. Today's Bible story, something really, really special happens to Jesus in his life. What do you think happens to Jesus that's really, really special? Remember, he's already been born, so you can't say he's born. We're not quite to Easter yet, so it's not that he's going to be resurrected. What do you think it is? He gets baptized. He gets baptized. Yes? He helps people. Yeah, he gets baptized, and then he helps people all along the way. Baptism is something we're going to talk about today as something that's really, really important. Most of you have probably been baptized and you don't remember it, right? Yeah, some of you maybe haven't been baptized yet or are going to get baptized as adults. I don't know how it will go for you, but baptism marks the change in someone to do something different. And so I want you to think about this. Eliza, hey, you want to let her down, let her crawl? Yeah, let's see what happens. Yep, I'll watch the candles. Yep. Baptism represents a change in someone. Baptism represents that change to do good for others. And so this is what I hope you will do this week in some special and beautiful way. You will buy somebody some donuts. You will make breakfast for your family. You will be super nice to a friend. You will sit by someone in your school that maybe no one sits by, but that you will make that difference. And you will be the reason someone has hope for the rest of the day. I also am wondering if one of you, oh, you already got one? Attaboy. Is he doing it? You in with him? There are 3 more opportunities for people to do offering. You want to do one? Okay. All right. So this is what we're going to do. Amy, you two are going to take this side of the church, and you guys are going to take that side of the church, okay? And we'll take the offering as soon as we're done here. Make a big difference. Be a positive influence. Be a great person and a great friend to whoever you have the chance to be a great friend to. Would you pray with me for a moment? Dear God, thank you for helping us to understand that we can make a difference. Amen. All right. Let's go. Good job today. job. I want to read for you this morning from the Gospel of Matthew. It seems like we just go so fast, but there's a big gap in what we really know about Jesus' life from the time that he was born to the time that his ministry began. There isn't a whole lot that we really know. And so it feels like, even though we haven't taken these decorations down yet, that we're kind of moving more so quickly into this next phase of his life after we just have celebrated the gifts and his birth. But today's story focuses on Jesus' baptism. And it reads this way. Jesus came from Galilee to John at the Jordan to be baptized by him. John would have prevented him, saying, I need to be baptized by you. And do you come to me? But Jesus answered him with these words, let it be so now, for it's proper for us in this way to fulfill all righteousness. So then he consented. And when Jesus had been baptized, just as he came up out of the water, suddenly the heavens were opened to him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said these words, this is my Son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased. Here ends the reading this morning from this holy gospel. We give thanks and praise to God and look forward to the opportunity to talk about and to reflect upon what this story might mean for us yet today. This past week, as I was engaged in a number of different things, I thought about this passage, and I thought about our congregation, and I thought about people who view our gatherings from their homes and other places. And I wanted to ask you a question, and the question is this, and there is no judgment on any of this. There isn't anything that anyone should feel poorly about. Who here has been baptized? Raise your hand. Yeah, good. Who here was baptized as a child? Who here was baptized as an adult? Yeah, okay. I was baptized as a child, and I didn't understand what baptism really meant, of course. How could you? Somebody brought me to church when I was real little and probably had given me some NyQuil or something, so I was sleeping. And they went through the baptism because they were like, I hope they sleep through this. I hope it just goes well. But I think there's some importance for us to reflect upon what baptism really means and why we do it and the ages in which we do it. Now, in this particular church and churches like it, we are primarily infant baptizers or sprinklers. People will talk about, were you sprinkled or were you dunked? How were you baptized? And if you weren't baptized like Jesus was, you probably should think about doing it again. We in these types of churches primarily baptize infants, and there are parents and godparents. And then later on in that child's life, we have an educational program that we call confirmation, which is essentially, and it says it right there in the book of worship, that confirmation is a reaffirmation of your baptism. Meaning the child that was baptized as this young person can now make a choice, and they know what's happening. And they went through instruction, they went through some education, they deepened their theology, they grew in their faith, and they are reaffirming that baptism. Jesus was baptized as an adult, and it marked a change. And the symbol that's used is water, which is essential to all kinds of life. All plants, all animals must have water to survive. There was a time this past summer when a lot of us were wondering if we could have a little bit more water from the skies, weren't we? It was pretty dry. It got really hot and it got really dry. Without water, there'd be no life on earth. In the human body, if there's a mere 2% drop in your body's water supply, it can begin to trigger your body into thinking that there's a threat of dehydration. And we use water for everything from drinking to cooking to cleaning, food supplies. All kinds of things in our lives are dependent upon water. It's really, 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 really important. It's incredibly important. Water is also a sacred substance. It's been used by God to wash and heal the world from a theological perspective. Genesis records that in the very beginning of creation, the Spirit of God was moving over the waters. Later, it is shared that God recreated or saved humanity through a great flood and an ark. In Exodus, God liberated God's people by parting the Red Seas. In Joshua, the River Jordan was parted to bring the people of God into the Promised Land. And then there's this mystery of baptism, where water is used for the cleansing of the soul. Water is a special symbol for life. So what do you believe? And why do we do it? These are really important questions to ask today as we remember the baptism and what it meant to Jesus all those years ago. And perhaps by looking at the details of Jesus' baptism, we can gain a deeper understanding of our own. I would even make the invitation today as I've thought about this more and more. We talked about it this morning in the Sunday school class that I led. If you feel so compelled to be rebaptized as an adult, do so. I think it makes some sense. There was a time in my life where I thought, you already did it, why would you need to do it again? It was almost like when I saw people who I had baptized or whose children I had baptized, and they had said, well, I went to another church, I've been at another faith community, I got rebaptized. Sometimes I would feel a little bit offended. Why do they need to be baptized? Did it not take? Was it not good enough? No, it's really more about understanding in your own personal journey where I am, and you make a conscious choice to make that change. What does it mean for you? Why did he need to be baptized? What was the purpose? And I wonder why Matthew used so many words, so few words. Jesus standing in a line. He wasn't the only person there that day to be baptized. Jesus standing in a line of people waiting to be baptized, waiting to take his turn, just like everyone else. And there's John. Imagine John at the edge of the water, saying, next, next. And Jesus steps into the water. No titles, no singing, no angels, just next. This morning, I want to think about baptism with a story that was shared by a prominent preacher by the name of Fred Craddock. He was a distinguished professor of preaching and New Testament emeritus at the Candler School of Theology at Emory University. He was an ordained minister with the Disciples of Christ. He grew up and did his early ministry in rural Tennessee. And I love this story that goes with baptism in our discussion today. Fred once said, I don't like anybody to call me and say, next. I have a name. I'm different from others. And I tried to get that clear in my head, he said, when I was invited to preach at Riverside Church in New York some years ago. William Sloane Coffin Jr. was the pastor, and he said, can you come up and fill the pulpit? I have to be away. And so I said I could come. And it was in the summer, I was free, and he said, you can stay in my apartment. It's near the church. I'll tell the super you're coming. So I went to New York, and I let the super let me into his apartment. Bill was a bachelor at the time, and you could tell it. He was a great preacher, he said, but he didn't keep house very well at all. It was a really horrible, terrible apartment. And I woke up in the morning, the morning that I was to preach, and I went into the kitchen to get something from the refrigerator for breakfast. And there was a note on the door of the refrigerator that said, there's nothing in here, Fred. Don't look inside. So, of course, I looked inside, and there was nothing in there. He had told me I could go to the church and get breakfast there. I thought, great, I'll eat with the church staff. I'll find out where I'm supposed to sit. I'll find out where I'm supposed to stand. I'll find out who's supposed to do this, who's supposed to do that during the service, and it'll be a great orientation. So I grabbed my robe, I grabbed all my things, and I went to the church. And when I got there was a line of men, primarily, down the side of the building and around the corner, over 200 people. And I got in line. Next. And I went to a little window, and I got a scoop of eggs. I got a sausage patty. I got a biscuit. I got a cup of coffee. Next. And I found a place at a table across from a man who obviously had seen better days. He still had links on his cuffs, even though they were worn and they were really dirty. And we ate, and I finally said to him, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Well, here in Albany." And I asked, "What did you do in Albany?" He said, "I was a stockbroker. Was doing well, but then the bottle got me. Lost my house, lost my job, lost my family, lost everything, so here I am." My daughter said I could live with her as long as I stayed sober, but she didn't want to raise her kids around a drunken old man, so I was sober for 4 or 5 weeks and then couldn't do it, so I'm back. And then he asked, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Georgia." And he said, "What do you do?" He said, "I'm a preacher." And he laughed and said, "The bottle gets us all, doesn't it?" Craddock said, when he said that to me, I wanted to get up. And I wanted to hit a knife on a glass to get everyone's attention, to stand up on a table and say, "Listen, everyone, I am Dr. Fred B. Craddock, the distinguished professor of New Testament and preaching at the Candler School of Theology, the Emory University. In just a few minutes, I'm not going to be sitting here with you, but I'm going to be preaching in one of the great pulpits of America, and you'll be back on the street. I'm not like you." But I didn't. Because it would not have been true. You can be at the peak of your earning power. You can be ahead in the post office window and ask, "Are there any checks that are coming in, or is it going to be late again this month?" There's a sense that it's all the same. The invitation into the kingdom of God is quite simple. It's a voice that says, "Next." Could that be what the gospel's trying to tell us today with this bare bones account of Jesus' baptism? No matter who or what we are, ultimately in God's kingdom, we're in the same line. We're in the same place. Robert Brierley, a Presbyterian pastor, writes this: "All we know about the baptism of Jesus is that it was with all the people. Jesus simply got in line with everyone who had been broken by the wear and tear of this world and had all but given up on themselves and their God. And when the line of downtrodden and sin-sick people formed in hopes of a new beginning through the return of God, Jesus joined them. And in his baptism, he identified with the damaged and broken people who needed God. They were all in line together that day, waiting to be baptized. The poor were there. The rich were there. The preachers came. Those that needed Jesus and didn't think that they needed Jesus were all there. No choirs, no organs, no grand pianos, no beautiful lights, just a little bit of water. And the words are spoken, "Next." And when we step into that water, and when we step into that river, we step in with Jesus. And at that moment, our beings are wrapped up with all other human beings, the well ones and the hurt ones, the happy ones and the sad ones, the ones looking forward to tomorrow and the ones dreading it, the ones who can't seem to get anything right, and the fortunate ones who seem to have everything go their way. Each one of them heard that word, next. And they entered the water, and they were baptized. And in that moment, in that short period of time, they mattered. Their next became the most important moment in their life at that time. And so I ask you today, remember your baptism and be thankful. Remember that there are times in your lives in which everything is going to be perfect, and there are going to be times in your life when they're not, but there's still times, and there's still experiences, and there's still moments. I wish we could enter into 2023 and make it feel like everything's going to be perfect. You're going to get every gift you want, not only for your birthday, but also for Christmas and just special days. Gifts are going to show up at your bed when you wake up in the morning, and it's just going to be the best year ever. I wish I could say that every one of you here today, when you get back into this semester, you're going to get straight A's on all your classes and in all of your work, and teachers won't even give you homework. They'll be so sensitive to your needs and your well-being that they'll want you to go home and just play. But they won't. I wish I could say that every hymn that we sing this year is going to be your favorite. But it won't, will it? That's okay. That's okay. We're still going to be here. And there's going to be a next Sunday. And there's going to be a next day. There's going to be a next hour. Sometimes there's a need for a next minute. Sometimes it's just the next second. Remember the next. Remember the next. And listen for God's voice saying to you, I'm not through with you yet. I'm not done with things yet. There is more to come. When Jesus came to Jordan, when Jesus came to John, next things happened, and they were pretty incredible. So let's sing together the best we can when Jesus came to Jordan. Would you please stand if you would like? would you please pray with me for a moment? Dear Lord, we've come here together today to hear an incredible story of something that happened in Jesus' life that made a huge difference, not only in his, but ultimately in all of ours. Most of us have a baptism story, and if we don't have a baptism story, maybe we will this year. If we don't have a baptism story that took place in church, we certainly have baptism stories, as we all have been baptized in this journey of life. This week has been a challenging one for so many within our congregation and beyond. There are people who are grieving the loss of loved ones who are no longer with them here on earth, but go with us wherever we may be in their own spiritual way. Those that are recovering from injuries, those that are hospitalized, those that are in hospice, and those that are celebrating and awaiting some incredible new beginnings. It all comes together in a place like this on Sunday mornings. Thank you for allowing us to share in that journey together, to support one another when needed, to celebrate with one another when necessary, but more than anything else, to walk alongside and to love your neighbor as yourself. We pledge in our faith to do the best we can and offer this prayer when together we say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Blessings to all of you in our sanctuary today, and to all of you wherever you may be joining us from. It's an honor to worship with you. May God's presence be with you today and tomorrow and always. Our worship here this morning at Zion Lippe United Church of Christ is ended. Let our service now begin. Amen.